Welcome to the Prophets of IT, where the sharpest minds in and around IT come to drop knowledge, challenge the status quo, and say the things that nobody else will say. I'm Jim Punzenberger, your host, and I built ManagedProspectingSystem.com because I got tired of watching brilliant IT companies starve for leads where the competitors got fat on luck. Speaking of which, real quick, if you own an IT company and your pipeline looks like it's dried up desert, that's not a not a market problem. That's a system problem. And ManagedProspectingSystem.com exists because I built, ran, and sold an MSP. I know what it feels like to sit by the phone wondering if this month is going to be the month it stops ringing or starts ringing. It doesn't have to be that way. My managed prospecting system is 3 pillars: authority, content, LinkedIn outreach, targeted email, done for you every week like clockwork. So check out managedprospectingsystem.com after the show. So today's guest is one of the guys who makes you rethink your entire career trajectory. He's an AI-enabled go-to-market consultant, or funded a AI-enabled go-to-market consulting company. I can't talk today. He's building 3 AI ventures: IT Nexus, Lightstrike, and Unframe. He's helped his intern land a job at Tesla, and he's the part that's going to break your brain. He's been playing professional Magic: The Gathering for over 30 years. Chris, welcome to Profits of IT.
God,
say hi.
Thanks for having me, Jim. A few things. We'll definitely clear up some of the introduction, but I definitely don't feel like it'll be hard for me to give my shameless plugs along the way of what I'm doing here. But thank you very much for reaching out, and look forward to having a conversation.
Yeah, so I love Drake, your walk-up song, Started from the Bottom. It's
Yeah, that's it's hysterical. I guess I started my career probably in the back office of operations of financial services. Never in my life did I think that I would be in a position where I am now, where I have the ability to provide advice and services to other companies in a myriad of different ways. And I always had these goals when I was younger, and I would slowly check them off. And along the way, you kind of get to a point where you're just like, okay, I thought these goals were important, but I think there's more to go do. But I remember specifically, I think like in my best man at my wedding, it was like, hey, your coming out song should be Drake, Started from the Bottom, Now We're Here. Because like we all came from like first of university type
uh,
individuals that are in that millennial generation that have these goals. And I thought nothing funnier than to have that song.
well, I love it. And let's shift gears here a moment and talk about your truth bomb. And your first one is a thing that every boardroom in America needs to hear right now. You said that the biggest misconception in AI is that AI transformation is mainly a technology problem. If it's not a
Yeah.
technology problem, what is it, Chris?
I forgot how I answered some of these questions, so they're going to change. It is a total organization challenge. I mean, it's the way to think about it, or what I've been fortunate enough to do. Maybe I'll take a step back. Over the past 4 months, I have been rather fortunate, and I guess over the past few years, to really befriend some individuals that are really in AI engineering. And in fact, one of the companies that I'm currently advising from like a go-to-market perspective for financial services, it's called Unframe.ai. It is actually the number 2 ranked startup of Israeli startups, but they're really looking to kind of solve the AI problem as a developed solution. But the reason why I'm highlighting that is twofold. One, Everyone thinks you could build AI, right? And in truth, having been around the block quite a bit, there's a lot of internal transformation in order to even get to the point of where you could probably have real AI agents lever the platform in order to develop these use cases that we've all been promised. I just don't know, having seen what the tip of the spear looks like, what the true, um, multi-power-shelled AI engineer, five Quad code terminals at a time, interviewing themselves in order to actually build products. I just don't know if we have the ability for all of us to get there. And more so, right, it's the human adoption, which tends to still be the impediment. So if you're a net new firm, right, like meaning like from the chat GPT moment out and said, hey, we're going to build in the cloud, we're going to lever a hyperscaler, we'll put in a data platform, and then we will think about how to use Postgres vector and all these new things that we take for granted now that need to be done for certain types of AI architect. Like you could get there, right? And you could get there fast because somehow I got there, right? With just reading and having the patience and the coaching to challenge myself to get there, right? But I don't know if you're going to go from Access to PG Vector and GraphDB and realize like, oh, okay, AI allows me to do X, Y, Z. Like it just seems to be much more complicated than we think, and it probably proof points in the market that a lot of
Mhm.
the frontier models are actually partnering to create consulting companies because even it's that detailed of a transformation. So that's probably the biggest
Yeah,
misconception.
it's not as simple as AI just taking over, like you just
Yeah,
plugging
no.
in AI and having it take over.
If I I was a failed computer scientist, like undergraduate, like I not failed. I left the major, like it wasn't that along those lines. Like it was what I was recruited for. But thankfully, like 25 years of technology developments occurred to where someone that understands what a library is in a class doesn't actually need to learn how to use GitHub, right? So like with that, even I was able to create something that helps me scale because without the virtue of time, really, I would have never been able to really put my head down and start learning from those individuals and saying, this is where I think I want my career to go for the next phase. Because, but with all that being said, I, it's hard to think that the people that are not looking to adopt AI in the enterprise or we're using like query languages or COBOL, like they're going to start learning how to visualize graph RAG correlations. It just doesn't, it's just such a leap knowing that it's taken me 25 years to even understand what the terms are, let alone, not needing to actually transform the enterprise to put them in my infrastructure, like the behind the scenes infrastructure I use to scale. So yeah, there's a lot to there. I mean, one of the things I'd love to do once I've hopefully proved it out is to be able to try to help educate more of us how it actually works, right? In a much more practical business sense, as opposed to the engineering sense, which I think a lot of people and a lot of individuals try to approach it from that angle, as opposed to from the just the personal productivity use case or the
Mhm.
business use case backwards. And I've been fortunate enough to have some individuals, as I mentioned, some companies I work with really help frame that perspective.
Well, it seems like a good segue into your $1 million learning moment. And Chris, yours is one that every person listening who's ever been at a career crossroads is going to probably be interested in. You said your biggest professional mistake was switching out of your computer science major in college.
Yeah.
Take me back to that moment. What were you thinking and
You know what?
what happened?
All right. I will give you that moment. I joined the fraternity and I was like, I don't want to do 90-hour labs. This seems like so much more fun, right? Like it was like the most short-sighted 18-year-old, 17-year-old decision. And the reason why it was a mistake, right? And not to say it was a mistake because I recovered from it, right? Was that from like the age of 6 or 7, was building and coding computers. Like it was just, I thought about it, I dreamt about it, I woke up, I did it. I just happen to have a natural gift for it. And back to the point of the bottom, now you're here type of stuff. Like in a different world, where I grew up in a different
Mhm.
surrounding and or whatever, like someone would have been like, this is a really good machine engineer and or electrical engineer or software engineer. And lo and behold, the paths get kind of sent to you. And as fortunate as I am for being a product of the New York public school system, like I have interacted with people that where that was like, oh, this is how we got here. And you would have got there earlier. Do you follow what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
it is a lot about your environment. But the reason why I say that is as much as I pivoted into finance and understood and had a fantastic career in finance and have the educational background in it, I don't wake up thinking about how to rebalance my portfolio. I don't wake up wondering if my Sharpe ratio is at the top of the efficient market hypothesis. You know what I mean? I just
Hmm.
don't. Um, my passion wasn't finance, I guess would be the way to say it, right? And life is funny sometimes. I injured myself in the beginning of January of this year, like a debilitating ORIF. Basically, I shattered my kneecap, and if I didn't, I wouldn't have sat and had the time to say, hey, think how to use AI to scale you. I was fortunate enough to learn about what its capabilities were while I was working and leading Snowflake's go to market in the Americas for part of the financial services industry. And as I sat there in pain with like an hour a day, like when there was no pain, I just was in Claude Code. And I was watching videos while I was in pain about how do I shorten the time it's going to take me to get from where I was using AI as the kind of canvas of a chatbot to the, hey, I'm going to help design a system of multi-agentic workflows. I'm going to try to build a company with departments have agents in it so that I can ultimately try to see if during this time period of what can I do, right? It was just an interesting circumstance that life handed me. But now, I do overnight coding sessions with my CTO org, and then I wake up and I'm first thing I do, well, second thing I do after I get my dog off of me, is think like, hey, man, I wonder how that run went. Like what the QA engineer found. Like what did the skeptical engineer review, which is like me not letting just Claude code be the one building Claude code, but to lever in some CLIs from OpenAI and Gemini to say you have to pass you have to pass their inspection before you go in with what you think is a very good way to build this process. And none of it would have ever happened. I would have back to the point of why it was a mistake. Like it's just been I've been happier, by knowing that the thing that I'm passionate about, the combination of what I'm good at, which is helping organizations and generate revenue, and what I have a passion for and naturally want to learn. I guess I started from the bottom doing finance operations in the sense that it was someone else's process. I wasn't at the tip of the spear of um, technology and being able to apply it to the current state, right? And I'm fortunate enough to be at that point now where outside of quantum computing, like this is about as much as you can be in the zeitgeist with the right people building and learning at the same time, right? I'm not trying to move you from SQL Server to some other kind of infrastructure. It's like I'm at the point learning from and following some of the best in the world and trying to see if there's things that I can learn from them that help leverage some of the processes that I'm familiar with.
Cool. So, before we wrap up here, let's talk about the things that you're building. Tell us
Ah,
more about what is it? It's
yeah.
not one thing, but
Some of the
three
yeah,
things.
yeah. Some of it's interesting, right? So I basically became a fractional AI enabled consultant for this period of my life. Fortunate enough that I had that capability. I'm fortunate enough that I had a client base that was interested in allowing me to try to see if there was a new business model given all the promises of AI. And then more importantly, can I have used AI in order to provide the level of scale that I believe I can offer to my clients? I just don't think certain things are 40-hour a week jobs. It's hard to say that, when you really get to understanding how this stuff works, it's the world moves in minutes and hours, but you could deliver outcomes in weeks, right? Like, so it's like, no, I don't know how to say it any other way. So with that, right, it seems like you're doing multiple things, but in truth, you're not really, because the process is the same. And if you learn how to truly leverage agentic workflows and tooling, you could be a part of multiple solving multiple problems, right? And Let me just start first with the one that I am advising. Like Unframe.ai is particularly useful for enterprises that are looking to quickly generate AI ROI. Basically, that platform everyone tries to build, it's already built. And the goal of the firm is ultimately to help provide enterprise companies with the AI ROI and value that they have been promised, right? And like it's just fantastic to be a part of it, lending my financial services background to help them in that capacity. One of the things that I was looking for along the way, although I haven't officially launched it, was a board of directors, right? So I was like, how do I make sure I'm just not making the worst decisions all the way through, right? You need a sounding board. You have to cover your the try to find the blind spots, right, that you don't know, and the only way you could do that is by having different perspectives review your thought and decision making process. So I was fortunate enough to partner with one of the said engineers that I was highlighting earlier. His name's Josh Siegel. He's down here in Miami. Met him playing Magic the Gathering, of all the things. The gift that keeps on giving over 30 years is professional Magic the Gathering. And he helped uplift me and was like, that's a brilliant idea. And I was trying to just do it in Chat GPT, like you create GPTs. And I was like, I want these individuals on my board. Something I had taken from reading a book called Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. Like, build your board of directors. They don't have to be alive. I was like, this is even more perfect. But I couldn't get them to talk to each other. So we were like, hey, that's actually really great because if AI delivers this promise and individuals like yourself are solopreneurs, building agents, like it's lonely and you're going to just basically like data mine your own decisions, right? So how can you start bringing something along those lines and can we make it accretive and worthwhile for solopreneurs, right? As that I have a feeling as the tech apocalypse keeps going and people turn around and go, I'm an engineer, but I can't get a role, right? Like maybe this is the beginning of the business model that says, well, then go be an engineer for 5 companies, right? That is the goal of what I'm trying to design, so that people can still be providing value, but don't need it to all be coming from one source, right? Because I think that world is starting to happen. That's the true purpose and mission statement I'm trying to solve. And then last but not least, same CTO. When I was exiting Snowflake, someone randomly posted in Canada. His name's Vernon Briggs. He was like, "Hey, um, I've watched what you've been doing. Like, hey, I think we have something here." And basically, the tech debt problem that I'm sure you're very well aware of, right? That how many companies have tried to discover like where it is in their code that they have challenges. Even more so, that tech debt doesn't allow you to transform to the modern platforms. It then doesn't allow you to enable AI. And lo and behold, you're kind of part of the private credit slash SaaS apocalypse slash how do we do this, right? Like, and trying to bring artificial intelligence to highlight that, but even more importantly, to help you build out of it, is a endeavor that the three of us are looking to take out to market. But it all kind of stems from the fact of during those 4 months, just doing the research is what is AI capable of, and not thinking you know the answer, and just asking, be like, are you capable of this? And be like, hey, maybe you are, right? And then thinking and being around the right types of individuals that challenge you to keep building, and really just you just get really fortunate just being around some really talented people in your life.
Cool. So, Chris, if you pique somebody's interest and they'd like to get in touch with you, what would be a good way of doing that?
Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Most of everything I have is there. I monitor it rather frequently. I welcome hearing what others are doing. Even more importantly, I've had such a unique career path where I have basically played every single role that you can in the market: a consultant, a data provider, a software leader, a platform leader, whatever it is I'm doing these days. And the only thing I could ever say that it gets someone from point A to point B, or what makes them like happy, like back to that point, is to not let other people define what you're doing. Always be intellectually curious to get there, right? And then when you do get there, make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that are just wiser and can really uplift you faster to help you see the world from a different perspective. If you just keep looking at it at the same way, the same dimension, you won't be able to get there. And I'd love to have those conversations with people that reach out.
Well, cool. We'll include a link in the show notes to your LinkedIn profile. And Chris, Thank you for bringing the heat, the brains, and the cards in
No worries.
into this podcast. And that's a wrap on this episode of Profits of IT. Check Chris out on LinkedIn, and also now would be a good time to go check out managedprospectingsystem.com. Until next time, stay hydrated and caffeinated. Bye for now.